All right. Are we good? We are live.
All right, guys. Thanks, guys and gals, for joining us. We're going to give you a little pregame setup here. Houston Dynamo, obviously coming into this opening Leagues Cup match against Atlas, coming off a wonderful road trip. In fact, the road record is pretty incredible. I mean, only 6 teams in Major League Soccer have 6 wins. So all those years we suffered with not winning on the road and how to win on the road, well, I think the Dynamo have learned how. 20 road points in 13 games, 17 home points. So the Dynamo at home tonight, Leagues Cup year 2. It's 47 teams, 18 from Liga MX, and of course, 29 from Major League Soccer. Atlas is 4 games into their Liga MX season, so it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit flipped here. Normally it's MLS teams in some of the tournaments that come in and are struggling because they're in the early stages of things. Guadalajara, Mexico, it's a very famous club. It's got history in Houston. Atlas, as you know, formed all the way back in 1916, but it's a club that at one point was one of the best youth developers going, producing the likes of Rafa Marquez, Oswaldo Sanchez. I just posted something on Instagram of when I was a youth club in Houston with a team called the Hurricanes, and we had a nice little cooperative agreement going with Atlas and their teams. We'd bus up, believe it or not, from Guadalajara, Mexico. And Andreas Guardado was one of these little kids. So if you go to Instagram at Glenn Davis Soccer, you can see the picture of it. We just got the lineups. The Dynamo lineup's exactly the same as in Vancouver in that crazy, wild, fun game. Would love to get what your thoughts are heading into this and what's most important. How much value do you place on the Leagues Cup? Ben Olsen made it very clear they want to win this tournament. They're going into this very seriously. So it's the same lineup. It's in goal, Steve Clark. On the right side will be Griffin Dorsey, Mikhail Eric Sviatchenko, Franco Escobar on the left. In midfield, Artur will hold down the 6. Coco, Hector will have that free role. Aliu on the left. Up front will be Ezequiel Ponce. It'll be good to see him get more minutes here against a Mexican League team. And then Coco will be tucking in, obviously, on the right. So there you go. For Atlas, Camilo Vargas is the goalkeeper. If you remember, he was Colombia's goalkeeper in the Copa America. Excellent goalkeeper. Zaldivar, Aguirre, Mora, Luis Reyes. Keep an eye on him up and down the left side. Plays a lot in combination with Raimundo Fulgencio. And then you got holding midfielders like a 3-set in there, Marquez, Rocha, and Rios. John Murillo, a really, really busy Venezuelan player, a winger. Reminds me a little bit of Albert Elise, possibly. 28-year-old. And then Eduardo Aguirre up front has 3 goals for them. They've played 4 games, and they're undefeated so far through 4 rounds of Liga MX play. 2-2 draw with Juarez, tied Tigres 1-1, which was an interesting result there. Santos, a 1-0 win. And then their most recent game, they beat Puebla 2-1 with Aguirre scoring both of the goals. Aguirre's an interesting guy, finds good spaces. But I got to tell you, I got to think the Houston Dynamo have to be the favorites here at home in the Leagues Cup. Any thoughts from you guys out there heading into this one? San Jose, Bernat is the head coach. Interesting guy leading Atlas. I want to just give you a note or two on him. He's 44. He's Spanish. His last 2 clubs he coached were Mazatlan and Bolivar in Bolivia. So, I mean, this guy is incredibly traveled and over the last couple of years. So they settled on him as a coach. Spanish coach. He's coached in Europe as well. He's coached Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia as well. So he's got a very interesting background. As we all know, last year, the Leagues Cup was the place where the Dynamo really put it in overdrive. A lot of teams are going to use the Leagues Cup as an opportunity to platform into the final, whatever it is, 9 to 11 games of Major League Soccer, get on a run, build confidence, integrate players into teams. That's certainly what the Dynamo are doing with Ponce. Lawrence Anali is going to play in this tournament. That's what Ben Olsen said. He confirmed that. Really looking forward to seeing him play. Adds a little bit off the dribble, directness, pace. Ben Olsen also made it very clear, though, he's competing to play out on the left as an inverted winger with Aliou. So I don't think you're going to see those two on the field at the same time unless it's a situation where the Dynamo are down. So, for those of you thinking you might get two types of wingers, it doesn't look like the Dynamo want to move off their team shape, that narrow kind of game that they have to accommodate two out-and-out wingers, one which would then be right-footed on the right side of the field. So he did allude to the fact, Ben Olsen, that potentially he could play in the Coco role. I don't think that suits him. That probably takes away from all the attributes that he has. We had results last night, so Justin, why don't you whip off last night's result in the Leagues Cup? By the way, MLS goes 2-0 against Liga MX.
Yes. Real quick, though, excuse me. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all the above to the Soccer Matters sites. That way you know when we go live. Excuse me. For pre- and post-game.
My guy's losing his voice.
I am. For pre- and post-game shows, we're going to bring you to Leagues Cup as well. And then Soccer Matters.
Soccer Matters this week, Monday and Tuesday. We'll have a number of real interesting guests on. There'll be some Tigres talk with them in town as well. By the way, 50,000 tickets have been sold for Tigres and Inter Miami. I know what you're thinking. Well, Messi's probably not going to play. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, nobody's confirmed that, but the way that ankle looked, you just don't think he's going to play. That said, Tigres is unveiled, and I was at their press conference yesterday. It's Tigres Week in Houston. They are fully acknowledging the fan base that is here. They want it to grow. They want English-speaking people following their team. Really, really innovative, really, really cool stuff. I met with some of the Tigres officials, including Carlos Valenzuela. Dylan says, any Coco transfer update? Yeah, I don't think much is happening there. The Dynamo did not get what they wanted for Coco. I don't think there's a whole lot of interest right now there for Coco. So I don't think he's going to be sold personally, not until the end of this season. I think the Dynamo want to stay whole. They probably want to stick tough with what they have right now and make the run at trying to win the MLS Cup. How would him being sold affect shape? I mean, they play with an inverted kind of wide guy, and that's Coco. So you'd have to put somebody else in there. Does Kovalchuk come back in the lineup? Do they find another player? Is Anali play there? I don't know. I think Anali and the depth of the team is really coming out nicely here now with Pat Onstad and Ben Olsen and Asher Mendelson. I think there's a lot more competition now. Options, possibilities. I think they're going to learn some of those things during this Leagues Cup. So that's of interest. Now, Hector Herrera, a lot of you, we got to rest Hector. It doesn't sound like Hector's going to be rested. Hector wants to play. He's going to be out there. 17 assists last year. I think he's only got 2 this year. He's not making as many special plays. On the other hand, he's still important, linking play up through his leadership. Can't see the Dynamo without him. And maybe he doesn't need to make as many special plays this year based on the improvement in the overall roster. So there you go. Anybody else have any questions out there? If not, we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon.
I do got the scores now that I'm not.
Oh,
joking.
Okay, go for it.
Atlanta United losing to DC United on PKs 6-5. Orlando City beating Montreal 4-1. Pumas losing up the man against Austin.
Let me just say something about that. That was a monster result for Austin FC with the pressure on Josh Wolf, fan base upset. That is a huge, huge win. That is something else for Austin FC with their backs against the wall. By the way, they had to play with 10 men because Bukari, who's their new DP signing from Ghana, he got sent off. So it's amazing. They played with their backup goalkeeper, Stefan Cleveland. He saved a penalty in stoppage time, or it would have been a 3-3 draw. By the way, the torches are out, the knives are out in Mexico. Pumas is getting ripped apart by the press for not being able to beat a mediocre MLS team. That's their words, not mine.
Seattle Sounders.
Well, it might be mine too, actually. They weren't mediocre last night.
No. Seattle Sounders beating Minnesota United 2-0, and then LAFC beating Tijuana 3-0.
Tijuana. No
Tijuana.
surprise. No surprise there. I think Juan Carlos Osorio, the former Mexico coach, is coaching Tijuana. Just seems like guys that leave the Mexican national team end up being the coach at Tijuana. We had Miguel Herrera. You had Oscar Pereira was a coach there for a while, who's now at Orlando.
I will give you guys a real quick weather update because
Anytime, Dylan. Go for it.
It has been raining for the last however many days here in Houston. Looks like it's going to be 81 degrees, feel like a 71, and there is only a 50% chance of rain, probably through now until kickoff. So
yeah, and lightning doesn't seem to be a factor.
No.
Field looks in incredible shape. I'm just standing up here because both of these teams are out here warming up. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff. So if you're going to listen to my call, it's strictly radio. It's only on the Dynamo website, HoustonDynamo.com/radio streaming. There won't be any picture. It's only going to be a lot of words. So if you want a lot of rhetoric tonight, I'm going to be ready to give it to you, because when you do a radio call, you got to fill the space with words. So there'll be a lot of talking tonight.
I do have 3 questions for you.
All right.
We got a little bit of time.
Go for it.
What do you expect from the Dynamo in this tournament?
Expect them to try and win it. I expect them tonight to be highly aggressive here at home. Pick and choose their moments. I think they need to break the rhythm of a Liga MX team. They're generally very good possession teams. I mentioned earlier the left side is a place of concern. Reyes and Fulgencio, and then the striker Eduardo Aguirre. But I think this is a game that really you have to set the bar and say the Dynamo have to win this game. It's at home. It's against a Mexican team. There's no more fear of Liga MX teams in Major League Soccer. The Dynamo and the league are up 2-0 right now after knocking off Tijuana and Pumas. So it's a great, great start for MLS. And I do think, you know, as much as people want to downplay this, and there's a lot of debate over this in the Open Cup, this will grow into a bigger tournament. The monetization is going to be there. It's MLS and Liga MX working together. You had the All-Star game. Everything's working together now. So I do think it may sand down the edge between Mexican teams and MLS teams, which is a lot more evident back in the days of the Superliga and even in the 80s when I played, because, you know, American teams you were looked down upon. I think that's dissipating. I hope the edge is there and the energy is there. There is no doubt that if Atlas loses here, they will get criticized in Guadalajara, their city, by their press and their media, no question. So I think that's a great part of this. And regardless of you know where you stand, whether you like Liga MX better or MLS, whether you think this is truly a justification of what league is better than the other, that will be taken by the fans and will be utilized as a talking point as, hey, we're a better league than you because we beat you in the Leagues Cup. That can be debated. You can say, you know, all the games are in the U.S., yada, yada, yada. You will also say that, you know, teams will get great support here. Tigres will, Chivas will. Looked like Pumas had some people out in Austin yesterday. So I think we're gonna check out soon. Do you have something else?
Yeah, I got 2 more.
Oh, okay.
We actually got 19 minutes until kickoff.
That's okay.
What would you like to see from Ponce and Anali in this tournament?
Just want to see Ponce.
Yeah.
I want to see all the qualities and characteristics. I want to see him stretch defenses. I want to see him a little more involved in the build-up. I get the pressing part of his game. Everybody's happy about that. He can run. He's a goal scorer. That's why he's here. I want him to get chances tonight. I want to see that he's integrated better into the Dynamo 11. And I want to see that they're playing to a designated player striker that's being brought here to score goals. The pressing game, that's great. I'm glad he's a presser. But as a fan, I look at it as a fan. As a coach, I get the pressing part of it. But as a fan, I want to see this guy get chances and score goals.
And then a little bit about the enemy here tonight.
Wait, let me just go to Lawrence Anali.
You're good.
Because Anali is supposed to play in this tournament. We mentioned it. Ben said it. So I hope he gets on tonight. Pace, dribbler. I spoke to Ben Olsen this week, and Ben absolutely was through the moon on the potential of this guy. But again, he is going to play on the left side as an inverted winger, unless a Dynamo were be behind and they had to throw him on just to try and create a little bit of chaos on the right side.
And then a little bit about Eduardo
Aguirre.
Aguirre.
He's their leading goal scorer, finds good spots in the penalty area. From what I've watched in the Atlas games, is good in the air. He's not necessarily a big physical presence, but he's very good in the air, his movement. He'll have to be watched. And he'll find little areas between center backs. So he's dangerous. He's got 3 goals for them, comes off a 2-goal game against Puebla in a 2-1 victory. So he's a hot striker going into this one tonight. And Sviatchenko and Mikhail have to deal with him. All good?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's we'll call it an end here. By the way, we'll come back on after the game. We'll do 15, 20 minutes there, depending on how many people come in. Thank you very much for listening in Monday and Tuesday. Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5. I will do a shameless promotion here for Lamont Brands. Got a bunch of really nice. In fact, hold on. This is. We even got props tonight for you guys. Okay, we got props. All right, so here is the orange. It can be the Dynamo. It can be the Netherlands. Could be a lot of teams. Whatever you want it to be. But it's only $20, the lightest of cotton, perfect for Houston. You get it at lamontbrands.com. The $20 goes to the Snowdrop Foundation, a 501c charity for pediatric cancer research. So one more time. And we got red ones in, so if there are any U of H Cougars out there, or we got Liverpool fans, Manchester United, yeah, you get your color, all right? All right, that does it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, real quick, also, be sure to come back right after the final whistle for the post-match show. Forgot to plug that.
All right.
But, all right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.